I think we're just gonna jump straight into it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? We're here at After Dark Fest. We've had a lot of questions about a lot of discussion, I should say, about the Clayboyn proposal, working for the DAO. A lot of cool suggestions that came in, some questions that we were hoping would be answered. I reached out to Clayboyn, and it was like 5 a.m. I think when I sent you a message, but I appreciate you getting back to me. And so we're just gonna have a quick conversation. It's just me that you see on camera, but I got the microphone set up here in the middle of the room. We got Virus, Tales from the Cryptmancer, Walking Keys, and New Age. They're all being very shy right now.
Yo, yo, yo.
But you can hear them. And Clayboyn. So Clayboyn, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And if you just want to give like the 1 minute or 30-second, like what pretty much what you were saying right before we hit record, why you're doing this, why you're excited about it, and then we can jump into some of the questions.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like I just over the course of my life, like I didn't find a lot of things that like I really got interested in. I mean, like I've liked to play video games off and on. I like to read. But man, I'm telling you, like whenever I discovered blockchain, it was like this missing piece of a puzzle that like I didn't know I was trying to complete. It's something that like no matter what happens, like with this or anything else, like I'm gonna always be like exploring this tech and trying to see what's possible. And yeah, man, like the idea of like actually working for a DAO, like working for the community, and not having to like toe a company line, like this is all fascinates me. Like I'm really curious to see what we can do if it works out, you know.
Cool, man. All right. Well, let's start. I have a question to start with, and I think we'll just kind of roll in from there because I know there's a bunch of stuff that came up. Hold on, am I streaming? Yeah, we are streaming, so that's good. All right. So here's the main thing, and it's a point of, I don't want to say concern because I'm trying to put a lot of faith into where Yaba is taking things while just being objectively critical where I am. One of the things that he brought up was kind of like his management style of not having not just the position you're going for, but just kind of positions in general as well defined. And I think that's been one of the holdups. In fact, it might be one of the main holdups in terms of the discussions that we've been having today, with the fact that there is a salary, so there's an expectation there of the type of work that you bring. The main thing is the proposal as it's laid out right now doesn't have any set deliverables. And while it might be too late to go and adjust it in the pre-proposal phase since that's over, what were the deliverables that you think that you'd be able to do? And part of that is like, I mean, it's 60K that we're going to spend out of the DAO, and so it's probably not. I know that I can't ask you for like apples to apples comparison in terms of like, okay, how are you going to bring 60K out of value? But what are the things like? What are the I guess any deliverables that you'd be able to think of or provide here that you'd be working towards in terms of trying to provide that value, and we'll go from there.
So I think one thing that's become clear over the last week is this is very much a position that is going to like be defined as it goes, and I think like going into it, like I'll tell you, my first priority, and we talked about this a bit last time, is the idea of like we need some sort of soft consensus layer, right? Like I can go in and tell you what I think I want to do for the DAO. I can tell you what I think needs to be done for the DAO. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
like if I want to go in right now and it's just me, like I'm the boss of the DAO. Like yeah, I got plenty of ideas that I think could like make money or do other things. But like that's not what I'm going for here. I don't think a DAO should have somebody that's dictating these things. But like my first goal would be go in, like lay out, try to help build that soft consensus layer. Then it's like, what do you guys want me to be doing, right? Like, cause I mean, I'm capable of doing a lot of things in this space. Like I've worked with dexes, and I'm talking like in official capacities, not just like partnerships. I've worked with dexes. I've been in blockchain for like over 10 years at this point, between like studying, learning, and then working directly with a lot of projects. I mean, there's a lot I can do. But I think part of the biggest problem with this role is like, how much do you want me to tell you what I'm going to do, and how much should I be like looking to the community and asking like, what do you want me to do? Like, what do we want to pursue? Do we want to be looking for partnerships that can bring in money, that can bring in new players? Do we want to deal with the exchange situation, right? And like I think the exchange situation is so critical that we have to address it either way. That's why I put out that post to kind of like start that process, because I intend, if nothing else, to like go through with that regardless of how all this plays out. Because I feel like it's one of those things that like I was kind of helping with in the background, and I do feel like the community needs to be part of the discussion. You know, like, are we going to pursue a market maker? Are we going to pursue more centralized exchanges? And if the answer is no, then that's fine. But like, it needs to be the community deciding these things, not somebody just telling you what we're going to do.
Gotcha. Well, so I guess yes, I know it's not us telling you what you want to do, but are there things that you would be able to commit to? I don't know if you want to jump in with a question on it. Like, are there things that you?
I would say like off
Yeah,
top,
yeah.
I want to get the soft consensus layer. I want to do that.
Okay.
I want to get socials set up that are specific to the DAO. Like here's something a lot of you guys don't know. Like so, I some of you know that I've been running the Splinterlands socials. The Splinterlands socials are, for lack of a better term, they're kind of like in this like black zone, I guess, because the official Twitter actually got banned. You know, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was like a couple of years ago they got it banned. Yeah, so like it's like you can't advertise on Twitter. Like there's a lot of limitations to what you can even do. Like I can't get that to be an officially verified account. I've tried for 2 years. So like there's things that I think creating that degree of separation could be better for us. You know, like I have a pretty wide like I don't really like the term jack of all trades, but like I've got like a pretty good versatile skill set. I'm pretty adaptable. So it's like I would say the proposal's more like me kind of showcasing what I can do, what I'm willing to do, and also accepting that this position is going to be defined on the go, in my opinion, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, again, I think that's part of the biggest thing that we've been running into in terms of a lot of the hesitation. And I don't know where the vote's out right now, but I think it's going to be one of those that comes down to be a nail biter again. And that's kind of why, with all the discussion we had, I figured we'd give you this opportunity to like go further in depth into this. And so I'll be honest, the the lack of definition, like when I heard Matt talk about it on the town hall, I was like, I mean, I know maybe that's his style, and I don't want to, people have different styles in terms of how they might operate. But for me, it was like, if you're hiring someone, then you'd want to have like certain deliverables, right? Maybe that's not the right word, but that's the only thing that's coming to my mind. And it's almost like midnight here, so forgive me if I'm like struggling with stuff. But that's like the main thing. It's like, okay, for 60K, we get someone who is talented like yourself, is knowledgeable like yourself. I don't think many people will doubt the fact that you have a deep knowledge of what's out there. You have experience with a team that does have value, right? You know the inner workings of a lot of different crypto. You know the inner workings of Steam monsters to a certain extent. You've been handling the socials. So what does that translate to when it becomes a full-time gig? And I'm sorry if I'm like harping on the same thing here, but soft consensus layer is what I've heard so far. You wanted to do a socials that were completely separate from Splinterlands the team, but create like a Splinterlands DAO Twitter account or something like that. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. So I mean, I would say the main thing, and like again, I believe that like a fundamental part of a DAO, it should be like I'm not going into this with the mentality that I'm telling you what we need to do, what we have to do. I'm presenting problems that I see. I'm giving you guys the options and encouraging the discussion. And then basically I want to get some kind of idea. You know, like what do you guys want? Like right now, like just look at the it's a prime example, like look at the market maker discussion. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
people that are like let's try one market, right? Like let's hang on to just one, and let's see if like we can keep crypto.com or Huobi. There's people that are like, we should go for a handful. There's a lot of people that are just like do nothing. And like I don't really want to bias it with my opinion, because like I've worked with a lot of these companies. Like I can tell you, like the backside that you guys like publicly facing don't see a lot, like working with these like exchanges and market makers. It's all money. Like that's what it is. It's at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's all they care about is money. And I guess like on some level, I'm a bit of an idealist, so like that kind of like rubs me the wrong way on some level.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's part of the industry. I get that we have a lot of people that want these things. They want like win Binance, win Coinbase. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, these are all things we could I don't know, Coinbase would be a lot harder with all the SEC shit, but like Binance is just, do you want to write the check? So yeah, it's like, yeah, like anybody that's got questions, like bring them on. But like,
Oh,
there's,
he's trying to go to sleep. So
Hold on 1 second.
yeah,
Oh. Hey, how's it going?
Sorry. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Yep. Sorry.
So I would say like my first biggest ask would be like I'm gonna basically be going to the community and like I'm gonna be raising alarms on things that I think we need to be like focusing on and addressing, but also it's gonna be some of like what do you guys want me to do? And I think having a person in that role that can go and set up like these B2B comms, that can set up partnerships, that can go to like other chains and say, hey, what if we want to open up an SPS pool on Matic? Can we work with, like let's find out what their biggest dex is. Like working with Pancake Swap, you can usually do like some kind of, I can tell you right now, Pancake Swap gets expensive, but like you can set up deals with them where they'll do like featured pools and like people that go into it can earn some cake tokens as well as some of yours. And then like so there's options to go to other chains. Like look at what's getting hyped up. Like do we want to go to Solana? Do we want to go to Matic? Do we want to go to Wax? Like we can. This is what I'm trying to get at. Like we can do these things ourselves without having to like wait for Splinterlands. Because I can tell you, like there's a lot of things I've wanted to do over the last 2 years. I mean, I'm sure even like you to some extent, because I know you were doing some stuff with creative. Like you got to know what I mean when I say like it doesn't matter how many great ideas you can have if they all get shut down before you can even start.
yeah.
So like I do think taking some of this stuff to the community and letting the community be like, this is what we want. Like let's try to go down this lane and see what our options are. I think that the value will become apparent as like it gets up to speed. But I do kind of like agree with Matt that like trying to clearly define it is going to be difficult, right? Like, cause sure you can set up some deliverables. Do you want somebody that's going to go like run social media accounts and try to grow them? Hell, like what if I go spend $20 of my own money to pay a bunch of shill accounts to go follow the social media? Like there's weird metrics that don't really make a lot of sense, and I think like that's one of the things that I don't know. I get like Matt's mentality, and I also get that people that are working 9 to 5s because I've done it. Like you have X amount of work you have to get done, or your boss is coming to like write you up and fire you. And knowing that this is such like an exploratory role, like I mean that's why I don't really have any like fear with like putting the reminder in there. Like you guys can fire me. Matt even lowered it to where it only takes 50%. So like if 50% of the people are like get this clown out of here.
Did he change the proposal to that?
Oh, that's rough.
Okay.
That's even lower than the proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. Like right. Like I do. I think it should be harder to get the job than it is to get fired.
So I had a question. Like Clay, this is Tails. I had a question with that. I'm not familiar with that change or anything, but how is that 50% vote initiated? Like who initiates it? Is that a proposal? I mean, I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a proposal. It's an interesting question. Like, one of the things that like I've been thinking about, because I think we need more proposals, is like I was thinking, like one of my first proposals would be that I can put forth a proposal without having to worry about the 100 deck burn, but like it has to be like, it's not like me playing like my personal stuff, right? Like it's if we're as a community working together on some of these ideas, like I could put out a proposal. Now the people may not like that, that proposal could fail. But I mean, like I'm telling you right now, like if enough of the community was like fire this guy, and I had the ability to just make the proposal, like I would put it up there and put it to a vote. Like I'm not like looking at this as like I don't feel like I'm entitled to anything here. I don't feel like anybody owes me anything. I really like I look at this as like, can I be of service to the DAO in like some meaningful way? Because I would rather still work in this industry. I would rather definitely still work for this community if I can, than try to just go get like a 9 to 5. Like, I mean, I can do customer service like on my computer worldwide and make about the same amount of money, just like answering phone calls. But like, why? Like it's menial. It's like brain dead to me, and it doesn't do anything to add value to Splinterlands or SPS. And dude, I'm like, I mean, it may not be a lot of money to a lot of people, but like a lot of my net worth is tied up in Splinterlands. And to me, like this is it. Like this is what I want to be doing. So it's, it is what it is to me.
Clay, what I would say is that concerns me that anyone could bring a proposal and be a 50% vote to take someone out. So I would say, no matter who it is, if it's you, if it's anyone else, if every other week someone's spending 100,000 DEC to force a vote on that position, that doesn't seem good for the DAO as a whole.
Oh, hey, if they're burning 100,000 deck to try to fire me and they're not getting the traction, I mean, let them keep burning it. Like, I mean, by all means. But I mean, I do think it's fair. Like,
if you're essentially supposedly leading the DAO, whoever's leading the DAO, and every other week or every month you're getting challenged, that's taking away time to do it. Anyways, besides the point. I would just say that I don't think that's a good thing, but it is what it is. I had some questions that I had personally that maybe you could help address, because I'm thinking that I'm not the only one that has some of these questions. And let me preface by saying that I think this role that's been proposed by yourself and Matt is a very important role, and some structure and leadership for the DAO is necessary for us to move forward. That being said, I look at it as an SPS stakeholder, as a community member. I look at this as kind of like a job that we as a community are hiring for. And as such, I'm wanting to understand more of your background and your experience and your ability to fulfill the role. Because right now, Matt has produced a proposal that is lacking in a lot of deliverables and guidance, and it doesn't really include any information necessarily on yourself. So things that if you could share here today, and maybe if I can ask you to maybe submit via Peak during this proposal period, that would be helpful. I'm not asking you to dox yourself with like your name or your address or anything like that, but if you could provide credentials or like a resume of your experience. You say that you have 10 years of blockchain experience. I'd like to understand what that looks like, what exchanges you work with, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I feel like I'm fairly in tune with Splinterlands, the community and the players. I really honestly, and I'm not saying this to be rude or mean or anything, I really honestly don't or didn't know your role in Splinterlands, the company, as far as what your official title was, what your daily job duties were, what your achievements were. So that goes in again to the resume, so I understand your fit and your ability to perform this important role. Does that make sense?
yeah. So I've addressed a lot of this on Discord. So I do maybe putting it in a post would be put a post together to kind of like give you guys a better idea. So I don't know. I think I started off just doing like odd and end jobs like everybody else, like working at a grocery store or whatever. Went to college. I got a business management degree, and what I did out of college is I started working at restaurants, and within like 2 years, I became the guy that they would send to take over failing restaurants. And like what I would have to do is either go in and retrain the staff or fire and replace the staff, whatever we had to do, get up to code, get in line with, company objectives and all of that, and make successful restaurants. But basically, like it's a lot of like that was like a lot of intense like physical stuff. Like I mean, it was like 70 hours a week on my feet, and like at some point, like my back my back started.
Is this what you were trying to get at, or I don't think you have to go that far back in the resume. I think it's more so like what you've done for.
So you just want to know like crypto stuff.
Well, I mean that's what you're what's applicable for this, and mainly because I know you, and I know obviously we cross paths sometimes internally with the team, but I think a lot of other folks didn't know what you did behind the scenes, right? I mean, it's just coming out now that you were running yourself and all that. But what was your let's try to make it very like if you were applying for the job at the DAO, like what are like the wins that you had as a whatever your role was at Splinterlands previously, and how you can bring those over?
So I do think that like first of all, getting the Twitter to where we actually have positive growth on it was like that took a lot of work. And I know it sucks because like I feel like we could do so much more if that account wasn't like completely blacklisted. But it is what it is. I would say like we put we got like at least 30,000 more followers on that, and like I'd never done anything with social media, so like a lot of that was like me learning. Once like the source code for Twitter became open source and we could see like how it actually worked, so we were able to tailor it and start doing a little bit better there too. um, a lot of the things that like I did with Splinterlands weren't front facing, and that's like it wasn't really until like I even started getting involved with the Discord and stuff that I think people even really knew. So I work with, well, I have worked with Hive Engine. I'm like currently like I'm not working for the companies at all. And like I worked with Hive Engine for a long time. So like what I would do is like set up tokens, handle like all their customer support stuff, and basically be the guy that like whenever something goes wrong when you're trying to deposit and things like that, I would have to go in the back end and fix it. Basically that's what led into me working for Splinterlands. I came in like unironically when Ag reached out to me. He was like, "Would you like to be a meme lord?" And I was like, basically he was just like, "I need people. Like the company's blowing up. Like we don't, So going in,
Meme
like
lord, like
the first
social
thing,
media. Is
yeah,
meme
yeah,
lord like
like
social media? Okay.
well, no, no, no. So like, here's the thing. Like going in, like I really like all I knew as Ag was like, look, like we need people. Like the company is blowing up right now.
Mhm.
We're hiring. Like I need people that I can trust. And obviously working with Hive Engine for so long, like there's been a lot of trust established there. So it was like an easy transition. But going in, like I didn't know what I was going to be doing. Like I did not have a role. I did not have a department. It was basically just come in and start helping. Like I think I spent the first couple of days actually being a Discord moderator. I spent a little bit after that like working with the support team. But the problem is like I wouldn't even have time to work with their support team most of the time because I would still be doing Hive Engine support. um, After that, like basically, I had to establish a payroll department because we didn't have one until like I did that for about 3 months until we got one. Now, like keep in mind, like I'm going to be like spitting off a lot of things, but these were all just things that like I was doing all
That's
together,
fine.
right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, even like I was still even handling some payroll stuff like until like like the end whenever I got let go. But so I was doing some payroll stuff. At some point, I took over social medias. I think this was actually I remember Carrie was running the social medias, and I think like it was like right after I got brought on. I think her and Chris left, and so basically it was like, hey, somebody needs to do this, right? So like I would take that on. I eventually started working with the marketing team because social media tied in with that. Then there was a lot of working with the creative team. Last summer, trying to think if I can. So you guys know about Soulkeep. Let's go with
Mhm.
that. Like so, there was a large part of the last year where that's what I was doing was like designing out projects like Soulkeep, and like basically what this is like you're going from like storyboarding to putting together like the economic loops, the gameplay loops, things like that. Like that there's like a lot of intricacies I'm sure you guys like can understand when you look at something like Splinterlands, that like it's not just like what you see on the screen. There's a lot of like blockchain interaction.
Sure. Yeah.
So like to some extent, like knowing how blockchain operates, how Hive operates, like it just put me in a good position to be able to start fleshing some of these things out. I will tell you that like I got pulled off whenever it went into production because I was just working on too many other things. So that's whenever we started seeing like heavy delays with Soulkeep, but it
Mhm.
is what it is. Yeah, so like there's like I can talk about that. Obviously, like throughout all of this, I'm still like being the point person for like exchanges, market makers.
Can you
We
explain
worked with
that?
a couple of, yeah. So basically, coming in like the SPS DAO had already been launched, but it's like technically like the company can't be like dictating what we do, right? So you need somebody that has like some kind of like competence level of like what we're doing. And yeah, like it's obviously not ideal. And this is one of the reasons why Matt is like so adamant. Like we need this clear separator. Like if I'm going to continue to work for the DAO, I can't be a Splinterlands employee. And I agree with him, right? Like these are concerns he's had for like a long time. I tend to agree with him. Like there needs to be a line between the company and the DAO. So prime example with like market maker stuff, right? So we were working with a large lending based market maker. If you read that recent post, you can kind of see where around January of the year, they just like for whatever reason, like they just stopped giving a shit. And like I had to go in, and I was spending like a ton of time every week arguing with these people, like like what's going on, and they're like, well, we're no longer supporting this exchange, we're no longer supporting that exchange, and they're just like they're coming up with excuses while holding a lot of our money, like so
And
this is
that's
a
it.
lending based
Yes.
market maker. Right. And so I'm sitting here like arguing with them like every day, like, what are we doing? Why are you not like keeping liquidity on exchanges? Finally, like after months, I get them to give us our money back. Like we had to wait for a expiration, like, a time where we could break the
Mhm.
contract. But like what's annoying is like, so I didn't even get to be involved in the conversation to get us in the deal with these people, right? Like this was done before I got brought on. And yeah, like it felt like I had to clean up that mess. But like, how do you even get into a contract with people like this that are holding like I'm sure at the time that they were given it millions of dollars of liquidity, and they have like no, I mean, again, like, and I guess this ties in with people's concerns about hiring me. There's like no deliverables, but I mean, this is clearly something that's clearly defined, right? Like you can say you have X amount of liquidity, put X amount on these exchanges. Like these are things that can be easily defined, right?
Mhm.
And again, tying back to like what I'm trying to do, I think my role will get more defined as we like have these conversations with the community. But yeah, just like so this is like the first market maker experience we had. I then spent a few months trying to keep us from getting delisted from our biggest exchanges because we didn't have a market maker that was performing. So finally, like I said, I was able to get a lot of our liquidity back from them. Ali got that 30 million SPS pass, so we were able to negotiate with a company called Flowdesk. They basically do strategic like arbitrage market making, so
Mhm.
you can deploy them on an exchange, and what they'll do is like they'll keep the token price stable, like according to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, right? Like they won't let it fluctuate too far. They'll keep tight spreads, and they'll also arbitrage with Pancake Swap to make sure that they don't like impermanent loss, like people talk about
Yeah.
with using like LPs. Market makers can have the same thing, but with an arbitrage market maker, you're pretty locked in. Like if you have 100,000 liquidity, it may fluctuate like 5 grand or something, but they keep it pretty tight. So yeah, like meetings and meetings. Like I've had to start using Telegram because that's how all these people operate. But like I've probably got 20 different like meetings that I've or different like companies that I've had to work with to one research like what's a good market maker, what are our options, can we afford this, can we afford that. But yeah, so like that ended up being the only thing I think we spent any of Ali's like 30 million tokens on was just hiring a market maker for a couple of months. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of getting in the weeds here. There's like, I would say the best way to describe what I did with Splinterlands is a little bit of everything. And even for like the last year, like on top of the other things that I was doing in the background, I started trying to like really help moderate the Discord more because it was
Mhm.
just, I mean, I'm sure you guys get in there, and like I love a lot of the people there, man. I think a lot of people are just like very passionate, but like man, like you've got to be able to communicate with people like on an effective level, right? Like I mean, you like I'm sure you guys have seen some of the stuff that's like been said to me, right? Like it gets to this personal level where it's like, dude, like I've told you guys all along, like if you see the value, support it. If you don't. Like I'm not gonna have hard feelings here, but like
Sure.
it seems like so many people can't just accept that. Like it's got to be like some personal like vendetta. Like I've got like some underlying agenda or something. And I'm just like, man, like I just like I wish we could have like effective conversations. And this is like the big thing that I want to do for the DAO. Like if I have any agenda going in, it's get us to a place where we can have effective communication and establish some sort of like direction. Like what do we want to do? Right? Like, do we want to start looking for partnerships? Do we want to start opening liquidity pools? Do we want to pursue exchange listings? Like, whatever we want to do, like, have somebody to help, like, structure this, put it into actionable items, and then execute on them. Right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
telling you right now, I want everybody to be 100% clear on this. Like, you're not going to have the option to, like, say, let's go get a Binance listing and expect the team to deal with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. Like, Matt is he's been like this the whole time. He does not want the company having anything like
To
that
do
to
with
do with the
listening.
DAO. And I'm not saying that as like you have to have me to do it, but like I do think everybody needs to understand that this is the situation we're in. Now, can you bring in somebody that's like not done any of this before? I'm sure they can learn. I mean, I had to learn. Like I
Mhm.
spent a lot of the last, I mean, hell, like everything in blockchain has been learning, but you know, especially moving into this realm of dealing with market makers and exchanges, like I
Yeah.
can tell you guys point blank, I never wanted any of that. Like, but
Can I ask you some,
it's
I guess,
something that, yeah,
sorry, Clay, to
yeah, go
interrupt.
ahead.
Can I ask you just some quick hitting questions and maybe,
Yeah, go ahead.
so when you talk about running social and Twitter, like how many like average tweets a day did Splinterlands post or repost under your leadership?
Okay, so whenever I went in, like the target ag gave me initially was 5 a day.
Mhm.
It turned out that that was not optimal. Like I again, like this is one of those things about like KPIs, right? Like you can go out there and say like 10 times a day you're gonna put out a post, unless you're running something like major, like you're running like New York Times or like somebody that like people are constantly watching, like Elon Musk, like you don't get the impact. What happens is you start to cannibalize your own audience, and you don't like you can't get content trending. So like by the end of it, what I would normally do is like 2 or 3 a day, but make higher quality posts and then try to time them strategically. Well, and my brain is like re-steam, like they got burned into my brain, but like retweet.
Yeah.
So like retweeting at strategic times to try to like expand the exposure. And I can tell you, like we went from probably getting like a couple hundred views on our tweets to like right now I've got the Splinterlands official accounts. They get like anywhere from like 2 to 5,000 views. It depends on like if it's something new, if it's something big. If you're just sharing like here's the social media contest again, like nobody really gives a shit. But like if you're going out there with like brand new art, and this is something like I've always tried to like push to Nate is like we need like new art, we need stuff catered to our socials. But yeah, like again, man, this is something like right, like so if the DAO wants to do this, if the DAO wants to start blowing up like SPS socials and get us trending and start like working on all this stuff, hire some guys off Fiverr, right? Like spend like $5-10, get some social media images made. Because
Mhm.
I mean, I will say I really appreciate what Nate is doing now with the whole war room thing. This is something I've been
Yeah, it's
asking
been nice.
for a long time. Like, man, I like you know, like because I know you've worked with the creative team. I've been wanting like we have to empower the community. Like we have to like get people able to start making short content, right? Like get people to get our brand out there, and like we can't protect this brand forever. And I don't mean that as like we don't like protect and defend it, but I mean like you can't like the tighter you hold on to your brand, the harder it is to share it, right? It's just like I feel like there has to be like some give and take there. And I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that like people are asking the questions that like need to be asked and need to be addressed. Like can we get high quality? I'm sorry, I know he said he wanted to ask like fast questions.
Yeah,
I get
so,
really in the weeds, man.
All right. So let's. Do you want to get another one?
yeah, so Clay, do you still respond and post via the Splinterlands official Twitter?
Yeah, I actually I am right now because Rebellion is basically like Rebellion. Here's the thing, man. Like, so I think even talking with Weirdbeard, I think we both like had it in our mind that like we were gonna worst case scenario be working through Rebellion, right? Like, cause like guys, like it's been on my mind for most of the last year since the first round of layoffs that like potentially I didn't think they cut deep enough, and I expected that there was a strong chance that more would come.
Mhm.
So I've been personally like that's why I've been able to spend a month like not working and just like talking to you guys and stuff is I've kind of planned for this. So yeah, like I am still running their socials because
So,
you've got nobody else to do it.
As
And if
a
we're gonna
like
try
a
to,
volunteer position?
yeah, I'm curious, isn't that a security risk? If you're running the official Splinterlands socials and have essentially the account for that, but you're not employed by the company, I mean, that seems odd.
yeah, I mean I'm ready to hand them over whenever. And this is actually something that like Nate was talking about in Mav chat the other day. Is it sounds like they want the creative team to take it over. Which good luck. I think the thing that a lot of and to tie into what you're saying about security risks, the thing that people don't realize about these socials is it's like what you put out there and whether or not you can grow them is a small part of the problem. It's can
Mhm.
you also stop scammers and spammers? And like they get, like I can tell you right now, there's probably one on the most recent Splinterlands post. What they do now is they'll go and they'll put some scam link. Like most of the times, it's like a fake Gala Games, and they'll block you before they reply, so that you can't go in and like you can't do anything. Like you can't block or hide the tweet. Like so, Twitter's kind of broken. Facebook's even worse. Facebook is like we can't even have comments turned on Facebook because there's so many like scam and spam bots. They can make complete fake Splinterlands accounts. They go in there, they look just like us. They'll go respond to people on our post. They'll be like, "Hey, thanks for the comment. You won some packs. Here, click here, and we'll put in your account name and we'll send them to you." Like it's yeah, dude. Trust me. Like I like I guess like the question is having absolutely or most likely near zero social promotion for Rebellion to try to get pack sales, you know, is it that also has a risk, right? So
Yeah.
I think that they know me well enough to know that I'm not going to do anything stupid, and I
Right.
mean like clearly they know that, or Matt wouldn't be putting his name on the line for me.
Sure.
But
I
yeah,
mean, that's,
I 100% want to hand these over as soon as they have somebody that can do it.
yeah, I mean, that says a lot, but I think it also, I mean, it says a lot that they trust you, but I think it also shows where I have some also concern because Splinterlands has shown from a management perspective, and I'm just giving my opinion here, but has shown that they've not been good at tidying up loose ends. And when I say that, it means, Aggie has said about the Nifty Arcade packs that if the experiment after a period of time was not showing the results that was necessary, that we pull it back, right? There's never been any data shown on that. There's never any statistics on it being shown. We have no idea if or when that is even something that needs to be voted on or the team evaluating. Same thing with Blockchain Founders Fund. You mentioned 30 million SPS going out for DEX listings. That's been ongoing for a while. We've had no feedback. We have no idea how that's going to proceed. Will those 30 million SPS ever re-enter the DAO? The same thing with Splinterland's official Twitter access.
I got some of it back. Just so you
Okay.
know, I got some of it back already.
That's a start. That's a start. But you see what I'm saying, right? Because
No, like, dude, I am literally like, I am very much like you in this regard. I want that accountability. I want everything as publicly transparent as possible.
Right.
Like
And the way
the only
Clay is this proposal is for a year for 60,000, right? So the chances of us, again, if there are issues or if there are not satisfactory results being seen, like in theory, not saying he would do this or anyone in this position would do this, but in theory, I mean, I hear Thailand's got some nice beaches. I mean, you're in Thailand, right? Is that right?
yeah.
I mean, in theory, you could spend 40 hours a week on the beach getting a nice suntan, and the DAO
Could do
wouldn't
that
really,
too.
right? And the DAO wouldn't really be able to take back necessarily easily the role that we have given you in 60K in doing so. So my feeling is I want to make sure again that we do the due diligence, we get some of these answers, and we get some more of the data here because I want to make sure we're putting in this role in this position the best qualified and the best candidate. So that being said, you talked about your work with market makers, and do you see the role of a DAO working with market makers to progress things, or do you see it working with getting listings on dexes like Coinbase and Binance? Because those seem to be like two different entities and two different purposes.
So this is what I mean whenever I say that like I don't want to go in here and specifically tell you guys what I'm gonna do because I think by the very nature of me saying here's a metric I can give you. Like I can say I will get you listed on Binance, right? Like I can say like I have zero doubt in my mind if you guys want to write the check, I'll get you on Binance within I mean I guess we'd have to set up like
What about
probably
Coinbase?
within 2 months. Within two. So Coinbase, I'll tell you right now, I don't see us getting listed on Coinbase at all.
How are we
I think
different from
that
Parallel and Big Time though? Because they're listed on Coinbase.
I Coinbase the big thing they have a lot of money that they're gonna want a lot of money to even do it. but also like the level of scrutiny operating with U.S. companies, like the way like the SPS Foundation was set up, the DAO, like it's really hard to get them to agree, right? Because like Kraken is an exchange that I was pursuing for a while. Kraken actually has free listings, if you guys don't know, but you have to be able to like pass their scrutiny and everything. And part of the problem is like, especially with these DAO tokens, these governance tokens, there's a lot of risk in the U.S. with it, right? And that's why like it's a token that couldn't be launched in the U.S. And you know, yeah, like you see Gala Games and you see Big Time. Like I can tell you, I have no doubt in my mind, like tens of millions of dollars went into those listings. Like it's just like could we theoretically throw enough money at somebody like Coinbase to get us listed if we had it? I can tell you technically what we have right now in the DAO, Binance is on the table. If you guys really want it, like Binance could happen. Do you how bad do you want it? Because like what if we're talking about wiping out half the treasury to get it? Like, do you want it that bad?
Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, that would be something to talk to the community about and see the benefits and pros and cons. But again, you know, we gave Blockchain Founders Fund a certain amount of SPS with the expectations, I think, in a lot of cases that Binance or Coinbase would be pursued. You know,
So-
as you know, a member or a leader of this DAO initiative, I think one of the, you know, whether we like it or not, understanding and communicating and having transparency to the community around, you know, maybe not the exact cost, but if it is even possible with the budgeted funds, if we can get on one or both of those, what that looks like. And if there are challenges, for example, like you mentioned with Coinbase, you know, understanding what those challenges are and identifying those and letting us know, can we fix those, or are those insurmountable? Because, you know, Steam Monsters is a US based company, the DAO is not. You know, what are some of the areas where we're concerned about pursuing those listings? I think that would be interesting to understand from an expert perspective. These are the things, you know, when I look at this role, I'm not saying that I'm looking for a dictator to say this is how it should be and these are what we're going to do. But I think we need a leader to say, look, these are the most significant issues facing the game, the economy, the community, etc. These are things we need to get consensus on and get either movement forward or something to say we're not going to do this and here's why. That leadership, I guess, is what I would be looking for someone in this position to say, I know my role is not defined, but here, for example, is, you know, in the 12 months that I would have this role, here's what I would look to deliver. And here are my, like in the first 30 days, here's my priority or priorities. First 90 days, at least give us a path or a direction to work from. And again, it's going to be working with the community to get the answers. But I think we're all, you know, we're looking for establishment of structure, establishment of procedures. These are all lacking in the DAO. And if these are not, you know, a priority, then I'm concerned, honestly.
If I can just butt in here for a second. I think it would be valuable. So I know where you're coming from, Clay, in terms of wanting to. You're saying that it's not on you, right? You're just there to guide the conversation, and I think actually a big part of maybe what Tails is asking for that would be helpful for not just him, but a lot of people in the community is if you were, whether it's in the PTT post or not, just to like list out, like, yes, the community is going to need to make a decision on X, Y, Z things, but here are the X, Y, Z things, and here's a time frame in which I think we should do it, 30, 60, 90 days or over the first year. Because again, sure, it's hard to get deliverables, but knowing where your focus is, I think the biggest thing is like we don't know what we don't know, right? And I think you do have a wealth of knowledge that you know you've displayed in a bunch of different areas, especially around the market maker thing. So I think it would be really helpful for people to actually see action items. Not that you are saying we are going to do X or Y, but here's all the conversations. Like at this point in time, October 2023, right? If I'm put into the role, these are all of the things, these are all the conversations I want to have over the next 3 to 6 months, right? These are the conversations I'm going to force on the community over the next 3 to 6 months because we need to figure something out, right? Whether it's something urgent or whether it's something that you think is worthwhile, like bridging to Solana or bridging to Polygon, things like that. So sorry if I kind of hijacked your question there, Tails, but is that where you were going? Okay.
Well, yeah. So to be clear, like this is like what you guys are describing is essentially what I see this role as being, like in the grandest scheme of things, right? Like I think things like setting up socials, all of that is just kind of like, to me, that's busy work. But like the actual meat and potatoes of the job is gonna be setting up, like whether we do it in Discord, whether we do it on the Hive, however we want to do it, set up some channel to have effective communication, right? Like clear out the noise. Let's say like 100,000, 50,000. Like what's the number of SPS you need to be to be involved in these conversations, right? And I don't mean that as like we need to ignore everybody else. What I'm saying is like we need to cut out some of the noise, some of the trolling. Like if you want to come in and troll, fine, but like you need to have some stake to have some meaningful impact. But like again, like as much as like I know things that we can be doing, things that we need to be doing, like again, like I'm so adamant that we need to, and I'm not saying we need to pursue a market maker. What I'm saying is like the community needs to know the situation, that like I'm already committing to helping resolve that situation regardless of how this turns out. Like yeah, I have other things in mind. Like I think like easy things to do that would probably, like the main thing I don't want to be doing is just chasing money to like try to justify the position. Like I would rather be building value that I think brings value to SPS, and then like that in itself creates the value. But like things like strategic partnerships, right? Like going into other communities that are already like Web3 forward, like clearly like you can look, there's companies that are willing to pay to get any kind of association with Splinterlands. But like let's say we wanted to, not chibi dinos, but like something like that, right? Like let's say we wanted to go into another community and be like, look, like we're gonna do a promo card, like maybe it's Doge, right? Like maybe we talk to Splinterlands, we work out a deal, they're gonna make us a Doge promo card, and then we start spreading this, we get it out on Twitter, we get it everywhere. Like look, like you got Doge, come sign up for a spell book, use your Doge to buy a spell book, and we're gonna give you this awesome promo card. Things like that, like where we can both bring in players to our ecosystem and not really spend much, if that makes sense. So like I think that there's like a lot of cheap options we can use to grow. I think dealing with the liquidity pool situation is very important. That's something that's very much on my mind, and I talk about it a lot. I think we have to consider that right now we're incentivizing people to not use the SPS burn mechanic as it's intended, right? Like we should not be paying people to keep deck liquidity pools open, right? Like I'm not saying we shouldn't have deck liquidity pools, but like for SPS itself, it does not make sense to pay SPS inflation to circumvent the thing that adds value to SPS, right? Like we're basically paying you to not add value to SPS. So like to me, like that's something that's like on my mind. And I know that there's a lot of like different ideas about it, but this is a conversation we need to have, right? Like as a community, we need to be examining like how much we're putting out on LPs, like how we could more strategically utilize LPs to grow the DAO, and like close off some leaks, right? Like we got some leaky faucets out there that we need to tighten up. Leaderboard prizes. This is a big one. This is another one. And Matt's like giving us the green light. He's like, if you want a DAO vote and you want to figure out a better structure for leaderboard rewards, like if we want to use those Rift Watcher packs we've been collecting or whatever, stop printing deck. Like stop printing deck. Print, like, dude, if we can chop back on some of the SPS printing by tightening up our LPs, things like that. Yeah, like to me, it's how do we build a more sustainable DAO that is building value for SPS constantly? Because like in my mind, that is the only job this DAO has, is build value for SPS. Everything else is tertiary. Like they're nice like add-ons. Like voting for what we do in Splinterlands, all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, the DAO needs to be the biggest SPS maximalist in the world. And if it's not, then what are we doing? Like people that are like the DAO should be buying Bitcoin, and I'm like I love Bitcoin, but like if the DAO has more faith in Bitcoin, why am I not just buying Bitcoin, right? Like I can understand having some stables, having some reserves, things like that, but like the idea of just using the DAO as like some investment vehicle, I think it's risky, and I don't. But again, like these are conversations we should be having. It's not so much about like my personal thoughts and beliefs. It's about facilitating educational conversations to give people a better idea of what exactly we're dealing with, what are potential repercussions. And dude, like I'm not like one of those people that's like so set in my mind that I think I'm like infallible. Like I like to have these conversations. They're important to me. And like they challenge my own thinking. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. I feel like the big thing is like we need somebody pushing these conversations and then executing on them, right?
Yeah.
Like I think right now, like there's so much of this mentality with the DAO. It's like people just bicker back and forth. It's like, oh, I'm not wasting 100,000 deck to go pitch an idea that people are just going to shit on.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I get it.
Yeah. Well, so let me sorry because we're getting into the weeds again. But this is
yeah.
but here's the thing. Like you just in just in the last 5 minutes alone, like you touched on a bunch of stuff that's like things that people all over the community. I mean, I've raised issues about a couple of things as well. So that's the kind of stuff that I think is valuable. And I'm not going to sit here and ask you to commit to like doing a PTT post, but you've answered so many questions in Discord, in these where I just think it would be valuable for you to have a place to point people to of like, here's my first 100 days, right? Like here's my first 3 to 6 months. Again, not what I am saying we should do, but man, we as a community should have these conversations. And I, as the DAO project manager, am going to force these conversations on the community, right? Like this will be raw. And I think that would help people get a better understanding of like, okay, no matter like we don't know what's going to happen, but at least we know we're going to talk about all these things over the next 6 months. You know what I mean? We know we're going to talk about all these things and hopefully start to find resolutions. And maybe for the people who look, are very like numbers focused and are looking at the 60K and are looking at deliverables, I'm hoping that will answer some of the like anxiety that's there in terms of like the vagueness, right? Because I understand where you're coming from. I may or may not agree with it. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible thing, but I also understand the people that want a little bit more clarity. And I know we're also like we're almost closing in on an hour here, so I just want to be respectful of your time.
I just have one last
Yep.
question.
All right. So go ahead. Tell us
Yeah.
one question for you.
So yeah, thanks for the time, Clay. I mean, I obviously appreciate the rounds that you've been doing on the streams and in Discord and that. The last question I would have for you is, if I guess it comes down to, would you be opposed to perhaps an updated proposal if the current one does not pass, that would be basically giving, like for example, yourself 3 months in this role at a prorated rate to get things started, to get structure, to get things going, to show what this role can deliver in value, and then open it up after that 3 months to a DAO vote to any of those besides yourself and likely including yourself that would want to carry the position forward, moving forward, right? The reason I say that is I think there's definitely, I think, a need for leadership at the DAO level to get things started and structured and to get us talking about the necessary things and to get organized. Like you said, have that soft consensus layer and to really get important issues brought to the forefront and voted on. That being said, I mean, to sign off on a year contract with such little information so quickly seems rash. So if you had like a interim role to kind of prove your value and what you bring to the table, and then we were able to open it up to after 3 months, let's say a vote where others could show, provide their resumes, their background, their vision, and have a vote at that point in time for the role. Is that something that would be reasonable and something that you would, be willing to look at as an option?
Yeah, like I'm pretty flexible. Like I said, I've personally, like I don't know, man. I don't want to be like the doom and gloom monster, but like I kind of felt like things were heading in this direction for a while. So like I personally prepared, like that's one of the reasons why like I'm even willing to like kind of like step back my salary to work with the DAO. Now, here's one thing I would say to that. Like to me, like this is already like a monthly thing. Like so, like quite literally, there's never like anything more than like $5,000 on the line at a time, in my opinion. Especially now that Matt updated it to where you only need like 51% of people that want me out, or 51% of stake that want me out. I don't think you guys would have trouble. Like, if the general consensus is I'm not doing anything or I'm not delivering the value, I think it's going to be fairly easy to get rid of me. Like, I mean, look right now. Like, even trying to get it to pass, like, I think it's what, like, kind of straddling the line. So, yeah, I mean, like, I knew this going in. Like, I knew I'm gonna have to like hit the ground running. I'm gonna have to show people that like this is needed, and I'm gonna have to be delivering. And again, like as far as like the trial thing goes, I think like this is one of the reasons why people are like, give us an example of what you're gonna do. So I went ahead and like made the whole like market maker discussion post, right? I don't know if this is like something I should be doing like just under my name, or like if we need like an like an SPS DAO kind of like conversation. Again, like this is all stuff that we're going to kind of like have to figure out. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like as far as like am I flexible? Yeah, I'm flexible to like figure out how we do this and how we approach it. But whenever I was talking to Gank and Walking Keys the other day, I'm going to be clear on something, dude. Like I am absolutely not going through the shit that I went through this last week again. Like it's not worth it to me, man. It's just not, dude. Like I'm not gonna get it. I don't want to get after sound demonetized. But like, if you've heard some of the like the stuff that people lobbied at me, man, like it's just like on a personal level, it's exhausting, right? Because like I get that we all have different perspectives, right? I get that like to some people it's a lot of money. To me it feels like a pay cut. But like again, like when you're passionate about something, it's not as much about the money. So like to me, it's like that's less of the issue here. But like, man, whenever people start taking it to a personal level, and again, man, like whenever like, just like I want to speak to you on a human level here, man. When I'm telling you, like the other night, like I was literally trying not to throw up because of all the stuff going back and forth about like me and like Weird Beard and like feeling. Dude, I'm telling you, like it really hurts me some of the stuff people say, right? Like, and it's I don't know, like to me, it's like I feel like I want to do this and I want to help, but like, and at the same time, like at some level, like you have to protect your own mental health. And like that's why like the last like 2 days I've just been kind of chilling and sitting back. I've still been engaging the conversations and answering, but
Mhm.
man, like it's rough. So like, am I willing to be flexible and like work out a different proposal structure? Am I willing to like show people that I can build the value and do these things? Like none of that bothers me. But like I can tell you, I'm not gonna put up with the shit that I put up with the last week. Like it's insane some of the stuff. Like well, whenever you talk about like other people coming in to apply, man, like I would really like to know who. Like, dude, I would love to see somebody that's going to come and do what I just did for the last week to to work for you. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's like I'm not trying to like blow my own horn here, man. I'm just telling you, like, it's rough. And like, I expected it to be rough, but like, God, man, like some of the stuff people have said has just been like, and I get it, man. Like these people don't know me, so it's like I try to ground myself and remember not to take things too personally. I don't know all their experiences that lead them to say some of the crap that they say, but yeah, I mean, man, it's frustrating. Like, so I hope that like that explains why whenever I say like I'm not willing to go through that again, I'm dead serious. Like I can go find another job. Like I'm not gonna beg for a job, but like am I flexible enough to like work out, like do we need more clearly defined things, all of that? Like that doesn't bother me. Just but
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm
Well,
not gonna play the Discord map chat fucking punching bag again.
yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, and that's not what I was suggesting. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, no one wants to be driven out of the game or the community because the community is obnoxious, right? I mean, obviously, you're passionate about Splinterlands, you're vested in Splinterlands, and you want to see it succeed. So you shouldn't have any negativity thrown away for that, right? I think, again, really appreciate you hopping on today. Really, for myself, I was just looking for more answers and more details. I think that helps everyone make an educated decision. So, you know, if it, again, having a peak D post, like after Sam mentioned, outlining some of this detail that could be added to the comments on the proposal to show people kind of more details, I think would be a value add. Whether you do that or
Well,
not, it's up to you. I mean, that
now
was,
that you say this, I'm gonna tell you, like, I do agree, and I think for one reason here, even if like let's say this goes south, like I'm not gonna be part of the conversation, or not to the extent that I'm hoping, but like having somebody point out like these are issues that you guys need to be
yeah,
considering and addressing. even if somebody else has to pick up the torch and run with it, like, this is the big thing that I've been trying to stress all along. And like, I'm not just saying this just to say it. Like, if I'm not the guy, if I'm not who you want, I think that's okay. Find somebody that is. But like, some of these issues, like, if you don't address them, they're gonna address themselves, and you may not like the outcome, right? Like, I'm telling you, like, your top 3 exchanges, I've had to spend, I can't even tell you how many hours, like weeks, like literally weeks, just fighting to not get delisted. And again, like, these are things that, like, I can't tell you specifically who, because we're NDA'd out the ass on all this stuff. Like, honestly, like, after getting laid off, that's why I've been so much more frank about it. Like, I mean, what are these exchanges going to sue me? I don't have shit. I mean, like, compared to them, I mean, like, yeah, maybe I've got, like, like $10,000 worth of Splinterlands cards or something, but I mean, like, you're talking about big exchanges that got like billions of dollars or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, to me, this is the biggest thing, is like, you guys need that transparency. And even if like sometimes, like, I can't, like, point blank say, Binance wants this dollar amount, what I can do is give you an idea of what we need to make something happen. And if that includes, Binance and setting up a market maker that would keep you on Binance, and, the liquidity requirements, they're going to be like, here's the thing. Whenever you get into an exchange listing on that level, it's a different game than like your normal exchanges. That's why they're more expensive. I mean, obviously because they can charge more, but also, like, if you can't put up the money to buy that exchange, you can't keep it, because you're not going to be able to keep the liquidity. You're not going to be able to have a world class, So yeah, like, I agree with Tells here, and I'm gonna actually do that. Like, I'm gonna work on just putting a post together of saying, like, here's what I currently see as like the biggest issues we need to address. But like, I want to be clear, like, I don't have it in my head that, like, I am the be all end all here, right? Like, I think that there's things other people are gonna see, and I realize that other people have opinions, right? Like, something that I think is critical, the DAO may just be like, fuck it, like, that may be what we see with the market maker situation. Like,
Well, so and I know we're over an hour here, so I want to wrap up soon. But like, one thing that I just want to call out right now is I think we just got more alpha than we ever did. Coinbase is never happening, at least not in the current state of things, right? Whereas
in my opinion, I don't.
In your like more informed opinion than the rest of us, Coinbase isn't happening yet. You probably still have people out there saying when Coinbase, right? Like, I don't know how to quantify that in terms of like the value that it adds, but it does add value to the conversation, because then all the people wanting Coinbase, we can just tell them, no, let's focus on something else that's actually going to do, provide value. And you get what I'm saying? Like, little things like that, where it's just, you can provide that kind of clarity. I do think add value. And, to the point of what we were talking about earlier, if you've been talking a lot of things anyway within, map chat and Discord, and trying to bring up these topics. Some of them I jump on, some of them I agree with you, some of them I don't agree with you. But either way, having, like you said, it's not an end all be all, but having all the things that you think would be worth a discussion and putting them into place, I think will just help. Will help to get people, like, kind of wrap their minds around it.
Start the process with some ideas and areas of focus, and then even if you were to hold like a weekly or every 2 week, town square with the community representing the DAO to get input and feedback, right? That's what we need. That's the kind of leadership that I, as a stakeholder in the DAO, would appreciate and want to see. So again, I'm not. I guess what I would say, Clay, is I appreciate your efforts here, trying to round up support, your passion for the community. I look forward to seeing what you can do from a proposal, and just generally follow up here, because I think this is a time where, again, if you can quell all the doubts out there and all the haters or whatever like that by providing over communicating, provide a lot additional information and show that value up front, I think the vote will go a lot smoother for you, and I think it'll set a good precedence for the relationship ahead. So,
yeah, I will tell you, the biggest regret that I currently have with the current proposal was trying to pick up slack for Splinterlands. But it seems like that's not what people don't want to pick up the slack for Splinterlands, right? So, like, to me, like, that's fine stuff that, like, I can let go. And like I do tend to agree. Like Splinterlands, the company needs to be owning that Discord. They need to be owning their socials. They need to be, taking care of them. But like again, I have severe concerns that like if you're concerned about security issues, like I'm telling you, I'm concerned about security issues, and if they don't have somebody that's like watching these things full time, even the Discord, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the Discord,
we're getting into the weeds. I mean, the social
Yeah.
media stuff is whatever. But look, man, we got to wrap up here. Not like I said, I want to be respectful of your time. I'm doing this on short notice too. But whatever happens, we appreciate you taking the time. I said, I hope that whatever drama has come through hasn't made you jaded. I think you bring a lot of interesting ideas, and whether or not they're the right ideas, I think they're worth discussing. So I think I speak on behalf of all of us here. Really appreciate it. And for all the folks in the chat, I'm sorry we could not get to all of the chat today, but please make sure you show
I'm in Discord. I'm in
Yeah,
Discord if they want to.
yeah, if you
I'm
have
not
any
hard to find.
If you have any questions, just reach out to Clay on Discord, and hopefully he'll be able to answer them there. But we got to run.
Sure.
Clay, thank you. Hang on one sec. Actually, we got to run. We'll talk to y'all later.
Cool. Hey, have a good one, man.